The movie opens with a fierce fight in the Kyoto area between rebel forces and the shogun's party troops. The rebels sought a peaceful revolution to overthrow the ruling shogunate, which had implemented a controversial new policy regarding foreign traders. This conflict had been ongoing since 1864 and reached its climax in 1868 when the rebel forces defeated the shogunate troops in the Battle of Kyoto. The battle was brutal, resulting in heavy casualties on both sides, but the rebel victory ultimately allowed them to fly the imperial flag, symbolizing the dawn of a new era of peace. During the battle, the commander of the shogun's support troops, the Shinsengumi, was a man named Hajime Saito. Upon realizing the shogun's defeat, Saito desired one final duel with one of the rebel members known as the Cold-Blooded Slayer, or Hitokiri Battousai. Battousai was a samurai capable of killing enemies with incredible speed and minimal attacks, all while remaining unscathed. After the fight ended and the era of peace was achieved, the Battousai, whose name was Kenshin, prepared to leave the battle arena. Suddenly, Saito, the Shinsengumi commander, challenged Kenshin to complete their unfinished fight. However, Kenshin chose to keep his promise to his wife. He would not kill anyone again once the era of peace began. As a testament to this vow, he plunged the sword, which had claimed hundreds of lives, into the ground, a symbolic declaration that he would no longer be the Hitokiri Battousai. Moments later, one of the Shinsengumi samurai, miraculously surviving amidst the dozens of fallen corpses, rose unsteadily. As he walked past the dead, he accidentally touched Kenshin's sword. Being a samurai, the young man sensed the deep pain embedded within the blade and instantly recognized it as the sword of the Battousai who had perpetrated the massacre. The scene shifts 10 years after the establishment of peace. Japan, now ruled by an emperor named Admiral Arimoto Yamagata, had entered a period of revolution and development, a stark contrast to the shogunate era. However, a wealthy Japanese businessman named Takeda Kanryu emerged as a significant threat to the welfare of the Japanese people. Takeda had amassed his fortune by selling the illicit drug opium to both foreigners and his own countrymen. To streamline his opium production, Takeda instructed his men to find a drug compounder. They brought 2 compounders to him, and Takeda, intending to eliminate competition, decided to kill one. He chose to spare the female medicine maker, Megumi, and kill the male one. Realizing his imminent danger, the male compounder escaped by jumping from Takeda's office window. When Takeda's men were about to give chase, Takeda stopped them and ordered his own Battousai to hunt the man down instead. The following day, Saito and the Shinsengumi police officers discovered the body of the murdered compounder and launched an investigation. The officers suspected the victim was killed by a Battousai, but Saito was certain the killer was a fake Battousai, as he had witnessed the real one's fighting style years prior. Meanwhile, the real Kenshin, alias Battousai, was surprised to find a police poster seeking a Battousai who had committed murders and was terrorizing residents. Kenshin suspected a samurai was impersonating him and using his legendary reputation to cause harm. While Kenshin was focused on reading the announcement, a beautiful girl suddenly pointed a wooden sword at him. She attacked him, assuming he was the wanted Battousai because he carried a long sword typically owned by such a figure. Kenshin, intent on saving the food he was carrying, merely dodged her attacks without resistance. He explained that he was simply a wanderer and that his sword had an inverted sharp edge, meaning it could not be used to kill. After hearing his explanation, the girl, Kaoru Kamiya, apologized and lent Kenshin her handkerchief to clean his clothes. Elsewhere, Saito went to Takeda's headquarters to interrogate him, suspecting Takeda had sent a Battousai to kill the victim in the police case. Saito revealed that the murdered man was, in fact, an undercover police officer investigating Takeda's illicit activities. However, due to insufficient evidence, Saito and the police could not make an arrest. That night, Takeda received news that his opium compounder Megumi had escaped. Worried about his business, Takeda ordered his own self-proclaimed Battousai, a man named Udo Jine, to find Megumi. It turned out that Udo was the samurai who had survived the Battle of Kyoto 10 years ago and had found Kenshin's abandoned sword. Megumi, having escaped Takeda's headquarters, sought refuge and cover at the Shinsengumi police station. Unfortunately, Udo successfully tracked her down and began a brutal massacre of all the police officers there. Panicked and terrified, Megumi managed to lock herself in a room. After slaughtering all the Shinsengumi officers, Udo headed toward the room. Fortunately, Megumi escaped through the police station window during the chaos. As Udo left, he killed a police officer and threw him from a bridge. Kaoru, who happened to be nearby, recognized Udo as the Battousai the police were hunting. Recklessly, she pointed her wooden sword at him, intending to fight. Kaoru harbored a personal grudge against the real Battousai, who had cruelly killed her father several years earlier. Udo easily knocked her down with a single strike. Luckily, Kenshin, hearing the commotion, rushed over and saved Kaoru from Udo's attack. Udo, recognizing Kenshin's incredible speed and precision, realized he was facing the legendary Battousai he had been seeking. As Udo prepared to attack, the Shinsengumi police force arrived, giving Kenshin the opportunity to flee with Kaoru. Kaoru took Kenshin to her family's hermitage and thanked him for his help. She explained that the hermitage was formerly a school run by her father, but after the Battousai killed him, she turned the place into a small hermitage. It once had many students, but the terror caused by the fake Battousai 6 months prior left her with only one male student, Yahiko. The next day, a group of thugs came to Kaoru's mansion and demanded she sell the property. Kaoru firmly refused and asked them to leave, as the house was her father's inheritance. The thugs responded by destroying property and causing chaos. Kenshin returned to the mansion to help and, unarmed, easily defeated the thugs one by one. Even when facing multiple attackers, he used only 2 wooden sticks to subdue them without killing anyone. After most of the thugs were down, Kenshin turned to Kaoru and announced he would demonstrate the Battousai fighting style. He drew his reverse blade sword and prepared to face the remaining enemies. Everyone present was shocked by Kenshin's declaration that he was the most feared legendary Battousai of the past. Kaoru in particular was stunned, realizing Kenshin was the man she had been seeking all this time to avenge her father's death. Shortly thereafter, Shinsengumi police officers arrived and arrested everyone causing chaos, including Kenshin. At the police station, Kenshin was detained briefly before Saito brought him before Admiral Yamagata. Upon receiving information from Saito, Admiral Yamagata finally learned that Kenshin was the rebel samurai who had massacred many people to usher in the new era of peace for Japan. Admiral Yamagata then requested Kenshin's help in killing everyone involved in the opium trade. He argued that opium trafficking threatened the people and the country, and he wanted to eradicate the drug dealers completely. Sadly, Kenshin refused the task, citing his vow not to kill again once peace was achieved. Hearing this, Saito took Kenshin's sword and questioned how he could protect others with a reverse blade sword. Kenshin replied that he could protect the people around him without killing his enemies. Shortly after, Saito challenged Kenshin to a one-on-one duel to prove his words. Admiral Yamagata stopped their short fight, accepting Kenshin's decision not to kill anyone else, and asked Saito to release him. Meanwhile, Megumi, who had been on the run from Takeda's men for several days, finally managed to escape and accidentally met Yahiko. Crying, she asked him to save her and hide her at his home. At the same time, Kenshin, just released from the Shinsengumi police detention, found Kaoru waiting for him outside the headquarters. Knowing Kenshin had no place to go, she invited him to return to her house. Even though Kaoru knew Kenshin was the Battousai who had killed her father, she wished to repay his kindness, realizing Kenshin regretted his past actions and was determined to become a better person. Arriving at the dojo, Kaoru informed Yahiko that Kenshin would be living with them. Megumi, whom Yahiko had helped, introduced herself to Kenshin and Kaoru. That night, Kaoru invited Megumi and Kenshin to dinner at a tavern, where they talked. Although Kenshin struggled to express his emotions, he felt a warmth and togetherness he hadn't experienced in a long time. Not long after, Takeda and his men arrived, having learned Kenshin was the former Battousai. Takeda offered Kenshin money to work as his bodyguard, but Kenshin refused, unwilling to associate with a criminal like him. Shortly after Kenshin turned down the offer, a young man named Sagara Sanosuke arrived, carrying a large sword and offering himself as Takeda's bodyguard. Sanosuke, an ex-convict seeking quick money, even challenged Kenshin to a duel to prove his abilities to Takeda. Kenshin and Sanosuke left the diner to avoid causing a disturbance. On the city bridge, Sanosuke launched his first attack, swinging his long sword. Surprisingly, Kenshin did not counterattack, only dodging. After a moment, Kenshin stepped on Sanosuke's sword and questioned why a formidable fighter like him would want to work for someone like Takeda. The question left Sanosuke silent and contemplative. He eventually stopped fighting and decided against working for Takeda. That evening, Udo, obsessed with the idea of being the Battousai, again massacred the thugs who had previously attacked Kaoru's dojo. The next day, Saito and the police investigated the bodies. Kenshin, present at the scene, saw a young woman crying over her family's death. This incident reminded him of his past, specifically his late wife, Tomo. Years ago, Kenshin had killed a group of Shogun supporters, one of whom was Tomo's fiancée. That samurai was the first to scratch Kenshin's face, and Kenshin's wife later inflicted the second scar. The painful memory always made Kenshin question whether the massacres he had committed to achieve peace were truly justifiable. This contemplation further reinforced his resolve to abandon his dark past and stop being the cold-blooded Battousai. Kenshin had now begun living a more peaceful, normal life with Kaoru, Megumi, and Yahiko. He was determined to protect them and the people around him to atone for his past mistakes. One day, residents near Kaoru's dojo came seeking help for their sick family members. The cause was unknown, but many residents in the district were falling ill simultaneously. Kenshin and the others rushed to help, administering detoxification treatment. Megumi, a medical expert, directed Kenshin and Kaoru in treating every patient. Sanosuke, who was still in the district, also offered what help he could. Thanks to Megumi's guidance, the residents eventually healed and gradually recovered. Curious, Kenshin asked Megumi what truly happened. She revealed that Takeda and his men had poisoned the district's water source, causing widespread poisoning from contaminated water. Megumi confessed that she was the only child of one of the city's most respected medical families. After her family died in the war during the Revolutionary Era, a solitary Megumi decided to work for Takeda to survive, becoming his opium maker and mistress while he ran his illegal business. Takeda's freely circulated opium on the black market had caused immense suffering, leading to many horrible deaths from addiction. Hearing Megumi's story, Kenshin recalled the task Admiral Yamagata had given him and was tormented by the suffering Takeda's greed inflicted on the Japanese people. After careful consideration, Kenshin decided to go to Takeda's headquarters and help the police capture him. When Kenshin was about to leave the dojo, Sanosuke found out about his plan to attack Takeda and offered to help. Just before they departed, Kaoru ran up, telling them Megumi had left the dojo. In a letter she left behind, Megumi revealed her intention to go to Takeda's headquarters alone and kill him directly. Megumi arrived at Takeda's headquarters, and he welcomed her, believing she wanted to work for him again. But as he approached, Megumi grabbed a knife and attacked him. Takeda's men quickly stopped her, and she was violently slapped by Takeda. Shortly after, Takeda received word that Kenshin and Sanosuke had arrived to save Megumi. Takeda mobilized his entire crew, and a fierce battle ensued. Kenshin and Sanosuke fought epically, taking down several opponents with just a few moves. Kenshin managed to defeat Takeda's men using only his dull sword. Upon reaching the headquarters, Kenshin and Sanosuke faced two tough fighters, Inoue Banujin and Gain. After a tense and fierce battle, they defeated both enemies. The two rushed toward Takeda's room to save Megumi, whom Takeda was holding hostage. Unfortunately, upon reaching Takeda's office, they were met with continuous machine gun fire Takeda had prepared. Luckily, Yahiko had managed to contact the Shinsengumi police, and Saito arrived to help confront Takeda. Using the tactics and strategies directed by Saito, they managed to capture Takeda and his men. While Saito secured Takeda, Kenshin and Sanosuke rushed into the room to free Megumi. Once untied, Megumi told Kenshin that Udo had gone to Kaoru's place and kidnapped her. It turned out that Udo's goal in taking Kaoru hostage was to enrage Kenshin and force him back into being the Battousai. That afternoon, Kenshin rushed to the location where Udo was holding Kaoru, following the instructions Udo had left. When Kenshin arrived, Udo attacked him with the sword Kenshin had once used to kill many people. During the fight, Udo tried to provoke Kenshin into returning to his former self, the true Battousai. Udo even used a forbidden move to paralyze Kaoru's lungs, forcing Kenshin to fight seriously. Udo told Kenshin that to save Kaoru, he had to kill Udo, which meant breaking the promise he had made to Tomo 10 years ago. Unfortunately, Kenshin felt he had no choice but to break his vow and began fighting Udo with all his might. After a fierce battle, Udo was cornered and seriously injured. Kenshin saw his chance to kill him. But just as Kenshin turned his sword's side and prepared to deliver the fatal blow, Kaoru shouted, begging him not to kill Udo. Fearing Kenshin would revert to the Battousai of the past, she pleaded with him not to execute Udo. Hearing Kaoru's plea, Kenshin decided to spare Udo's life and only paralyzed his right arm. Unexpectedly, Udo chose to end his own life with his sword, which instantly removed the forbidden paralyzing move from Kaoru. Kenshin then carried the unconscious Kaoru and left the area. Several days later, Kaoru regained consciousness. She feared Kenshin had left her and returned to his dark life. However, when she discovered Kenshin had only gone out to buy groceries from the market, she was overwhelmingly grateful and happy. From then on, they would all live a peaceful life at the dojo with Megumi, Sanosuke, and Yahiko. So, what did you think of the movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you in the next video.